Yeah, you're right. This is Thames TV for London. Later on, Danny Baker's going to be down the den, and him and a few of the boys are going to be facing off against some of the slags from Charlton. It's going to be a right tear up. Going to be chains and all sorts of stuff going on down. That's Football Hooliganism live at 10:45. But first, it's that mug, Dr. Macclevoid, and he's been to the films, innit? Tonight. But you can't turn back time, and you can't find a way. You see, you can't stop the forces of modernity. Sorry, if only Lee Phoenix had worked that out in Eddington. Yeah, hello there, I'm Dr. Macclevoid. It's not my real name. Welcome to another edition of Macclevoid at the Movies. Don't forget to lick this channel and sublimate afterwards. So, tonight we're talking about the modern world. Why? I mean, we all like the modern world, don't we? You love it, don't you? You love modernity, you love technology, you love phones, and you love computers, and you love the death of the communitarian principle. I know I do. I haven't been out for 12 years, and do I miss it? Do I miss social interaction and company and you know, laughing with people in public places? No, so obviously I couldn't be on the side of Lee Phoenix in the new movie Eddington. Eddington is a neo-noir and a neo-western. That's right, a double neo. Set in the titular New Mexico town during the early stages of the COVID pandemic. Once a copper-rich town, prosperous, self-sufficient, it's now rich only in poverty and desolation. A modern one-horse town, if you will, and frankly, even if you won't, with an hereditary county sheriff, played by Joaquin Phoenix, formerly Lee Phoenix. Let's just call him Lee Phoenix, because Joaquin is just too difficult to say. He's had a lifelong beef with Hollywood's hardest working man, Pedro Pascal. Man, it appears to be in all the movies at the moment. In fact, he's got 3 out as we speak. Give somebody else a chance, Pedro. Anyway, he plays the town's mayor, Ted, who's up for re-election, and he's promising more of the big government interventionist approach to managing the city of Eddington that Phoenix instinctively despises. Not only that, the once proud city of Eddington is to be partnered by that most predatory of modern industries, big tech, with the mayor promising a nearby data plant, yes, a whole plant, if re-elected.
I call that bold talk for a one-eyed fat man.
The future, the glorious future, looking into the future. But you see, Lee Phoenix doesn't want to look into the future. He likes the past, even though the past for him is pretty awful, and the present isn't really very much better. After all, his wife doesn't really love him. He's forced to live with his conspiratorial nut job of a mother-in-law, and for the most part, he feels sort of like a man out of time. Essentially, Pedro Pascal's mayor represents everything that Lee Phoenix despises. Modernity, the loss of community to technology, the values of government over good old common sense. That fool's gold. Does it matter that Cross appears ignorant in the midst of the pandemic? You know, he's one of these refuseniks with the old mask and all the rest of it. Gets slapped down by Pascal's mayor in public in a supermarket for not setting an example, not following the law, not wearing a mask. Even disputes it is the law. I mean, does it matter that he's got his mother-in-law dripping poison in his ear at home, talking about how it's all just a big government conspiracy, and that it's all about helping, big pharma and all the rest of it? Well, perhaps, but we are content that what he's really rallying against is everything that Pascal stands for, namely authoritarianism with a liberal face. So I suppose we're with him instinctively when he somewhat impulsively challenges for Pascal's job in the forthcoming election.
You're going to look awfully silly with that knife sticking up your ass.
This being an Ari Aster film, I'm going to shock you. They're not going to hug it out, and there's not going to be a massive reconciliation at the end, and the two men are not going to get together and find their utopian spirit level. No. Aster, if you've seen Hereditary, if you've seen Midsummer, know that what he's really about is a horrifying escalation of psychological and incidental tension. He likes to really turn the pressure up in the pressure cooker to an almost unbearable level, and that of course is what happens here. But these aren't supernatural forces this time. We're dealing with perhaps something much more sinister, social and political forces. Soon the town is caught up in Black Lives Matter protests, and it's caught up with the whole George Floyd business and taking a knee, and the town's youth is galvanised and radicalised and taught by themselves to hate themselves by people on YouTube and all the rest of it. And Lee Phoenix is finding himself increasingly losing control, both of the social situation in the town, but also of the balance of his mind. And many of us can relate to that. But it's his decision, and this is where we get into spoiler territory. Remember, this is a review, not a consumer preview, right? Reviews have to spoil because they have to talk about the whole movie. Alright? It's his decision to murder Pedro Pascal's mayor and, somewhat vindictively, his teenage son that really lights the blue touch paper. To cover his tracks, Phoenix not only implicates his deputy, a black police officer, in the murder, but also implies that local terrorist group Antifa are responsible for killing the mayor. This action makes both he and the town terrorist targets.
Oh dear, outside, never mind.
When we come back after the break, we'll discuss what this is all about.
How do it, all do it, what they do it for. Won't somebody tell, if only we knew it. How do it, all do it, you can bet, we'll be doing it as well.
Do It All are doing Contiplast leather look shelving $229 and Marley super soft flooring from $775. They're doing ring fluorescent light fittings $5.99 and 50% off polycell double glazing.
If only we knew it, how do it, all do it, you can bet, we'll be doing it as well.
I could do without Monday morning, stepping out of bed and yawning, didn't get home till a 3:15. I could do with a D. I could do without the 9 to 5. Gotta work hard to survive. That's the last I need, just my teeth. I could do with a D. I could do without the British weather. Halfway home at the end of my tether, but my feet are killing. I could do with a D. I could do with a D. I could do with a D.
The Amstrad 8256 is a complete word processor. It has a big 256K memory, a high-resolution monitor with built-in disk drive, and inclusive word processing software, as well as a fully integrated printer. Yet it costs just £399 plus VAT. When you update the office, shouldn't you make room for one? The Amstrad 8256, more than a word processor, for less than most typewriters.
Any minute now, you're going to see a cheap away day return make an ordinary day into an extra special one for my good friends here, because the train brings people together. You hop on at one end, then speed away safely and smoothly with room to stretch out and move about. As it happens, the going's almost as good as the getting there, and it's so easy on your purse. Away day is an off-peak ticket, so it costs you less. Spend a day with someone you care for. It's much cheaper than you think because of the train.
Oh, hello, welcome back. So what's it all about then? Eddington. Well, it's about a man standing on the beach, figuratively speaking, acting like King Canute, trying to stop the waves. But you can't stop the waves, can you? Modernity's coming at you, and community life is dead, particularly in America. Isn't it? What do you do if you don't agree with the principle that life has to be partnered with new industries and new technologies will inevitably influence and regulate people's thinking and perceptions? What if you have one foot in the past and you just don't want to think about all of this? And what if all of these changes are personified by somebody you absolutely loathe? Eddington asks these questions, and they are interesting questions. But the movie doesn't really have any solid answers, apart from saying, well, if you're against the tide of change, even if the tide of change is based on business interests rather than community interests, even if it's all about authoritarianism rather than individualism, tough shit, you're just going to have to cope with it. Sorry. You're just going to have to sit down and take it. And oh boy, does Lee Phoenix's character take it. This is an Ari Aster movie. So it's not enough that his ambitions are thwarted, and it's not enough that he is punished for what he's done. He is sadistically punished for what he's done, and humiliated, and dehumanized, and belittled, and left lonely and physically and emotionally paralysed in a situation where he has to go to bed each night next to his mother-in-law and his living carer, who's having a relationship with his mother-in-law with the blazing lights of the data plant which he fought against in the distance. A data plant, by the way, that beams more brightly than the town's lights. Guess that's symbolism, innit? One of the fascinating elements of this movie is the fact that even though Lee Phoenix represents a sort of anti-modernist point of view, he's still a man who is hunted by the past. Because the thing is, Aster is nuanced enough as a filmmaker to make the distinction between different versions of the past. The past that Lee Phoenix represents is the past of the colonialist, the white man who settled in a Native American town and stripped it of all of its resources. He's the ancestor of those people. And what's interesting is that even though it's his past that he's fighting for, it's the past that comes hunting for him. the terrorist organisation that attacked the town represent a grievance about white supremacy and about America's racist past. There's a scene in which he falls through the roof of a museum and literally crushes one of the town's exhibits that relate to one of the first white settlers in the town. Heavy-handed symbolism? Maybe, but it's an extremely effective piece of symbolism. Who suspects him when it comes to the murder of the town's mayor? None other than the Native American police chief in the neighbouring county, which he thoughtlessly committed the crime in by firing from a sniper's position in the neighbouring territory. It didn't even occur to him that he was in the neighbouring territory. And this, by the way, is typical of Lee Phoenix's character in this movie. He's not quite conscious of any geopolitical factors that he himself does not endorse. So it's ironic that he commits the crime in a neighbouring township that has its own police force. Doesn't even think about that. We're entitled to ask, I think, what is one supposed to do if you don't like market forces and you don't like modernity? Is there a place for you in this world? This movie seems to say no. And that sort of pessimism and that kind of cynicism does leave a bit of a bitter taste in the mouth when you leave the cinema. Or it could be the cinema food, I don't know. It's one or the other. But if it's the movie, the challenge surely for Ari Aster in the future is to come up with a movie that perhaps looks at things from the other side and maybe even champions the other side, rather than making it the punchline for a somewhat sneering liberal middle class joke. But that said, Ari Aster does what most modern filmmakers do not do. He produces cinema which is challenging and thoughtful, something that's going to gnaw at you and pick at you long after you've seen it, for days to come, weeks to come, maybe even years to come. It's highly evocative of its time. COVID was only 5 years ago, but this movie brings it all back. You know, the strong arming from government, the having to keep 6 feet apart, the queues outside shops which are absolutely enormous because everybody had to stand, a car length from each other. All of that returns, and all of the political tension around that returns, and it's all very well handled and instinctively well layered by Ari Aster. He really does know how to create the right psychological underpinning for a story. So it's thematically rich, the performances are absolutely first rate, it escalates to a point of absolute insanity, which as you would expect from an Ari Aster movie, and it combines tropes from westerns with a degree of social commentary that is quite unusual in a modern movie. In short, you should go and see it. But you won't, will you? Till next time, I'm Dr. Macclevoid, it's not my real name. Peace. Well, off you pop.